Hi, it's Sherry. Welcome back to Canterbury Cottage. Today's video is full of ideas for ways to make your outdoor living space a warm and welcoming place where you want to hang out. Because I know we all want to spend time with our family and friends this summer. It doesn't matter whether you have a patio, a deck, a porch, a balcony, or just a little patch of grass. I have lots of ideas for you. So let's get started. Creating a welcoming outdoor space is really not that much different than creating a welcoming indoor space. So just like indoors, you'll want to start with a little house cleaning. I began by sweeping up my patio in my stylish Dollar Tree sandals, which, by the way, are pretty comfy. We leave our patio furniture out during the winter, and I never know what I'm going to find when I take the covers off. These arborvitae trees can be messy, so I trim them back a bit. Well, I guess I trim them back a lot. Then I power washed the patio floor, the brick walls, and all of the furniture. The metal parts of these dining chairs were getting rusty, and so I touched them up a bit with black spray paint with rust protection. I avoided spraying the woven seat as much as possible. I really liked this Krylon spray paint, and I think my chairs look as good as new. If you want your patio or deck to be cozy, you really must add some textiles. A large area rug will have the biggest impact. I bought this one for $5 at a garage sale. For durability, choose a synthetic rug, such as this polypropylene one. To wash your pillows and cushions, use about a half a cup of borax and a big squirt of Dawn dishwashing liquid. Fill your bucket with water and use a scrub brush. Hose it off afterwards. I let my cushions dry in the sun for a while before returning them to the furniture. I ordered these pillow covers from Amazon last year, and I just fill them with an old indoor pillow. Just make sure it's filled with polyfill and not feathers. These pillow covers cost less than $4 each. I also bought some outdoor fabric that Hobby Lobby carries. I bought a yard, which was exactly enough to make 3 18-inch pillows. I sewed all 4 edges, leaving just one opening large enough for my hand to fit in. Once I turned the fabric right side out, I stuffed it using the polyfill from an old faded outdoor pillow. I have a very neutral color scheme on my patio, which makes it easy to replace or refresh 1 or 2 pillows each year. If possible, try to create both sunny areas and shady areas on your patio. Eventually, I would like to have a gazebo, but until then, I'll just have to make do with a patio umbrella. I wanted to buy a new umbrella, but there really was nothing wrong with the one I had, so I decided to spice it up a bit. I measured around the outer edge of the umbrella and purchased 8.5 yards of fringe at Hobby Lobby, which I hot glued along the edge. Without the 40% off coupon, the fringe cost me $20, but that's still a lot cheaper than a new umbrella. I mentioned that I have fairly neutral patio decor, but you guys know I love color, and I bring in a lot of color with plants. I bought this large chandelier at the Habitat Restore for $35, and I'm going to turn it into a planter. I took off the top part by unscrewing several nuts. This allowed me to remove the inner portion that held the light bulbs. I reassembled the top section And on the underside, instead of returning the nut, I used the finial from the ceiling cover so that I would have a circle on which to hang a basket. I took it outside and gave it a couple coats of the black spray paint with the rust protection, and then it was ready for a giant fern. I think it makes a very interesting planter. I like planters that are a little different. So after adding a geranium to this large pot, I added an old outdoor lantern that I had gutted, a solar light, and a small plant in a pot. It's like creating a tablescape or a vignette, only outside. I added this statue I purchased at Goodwill to this large pot. I like to use perennials like this spirea as much as possible. I found both the iron basket and cocoa liner at a thrift store. I just needed to cut down the liner to fit the basket. I divided a fern I already had to fit inside, and then I added a little flower too for some extra color. Lastly, I popped in a Dollar Tree solar light. Although I love the look of string lights on a patio, I decided to keep my lighting projects simple this year. I took a Dollar Tree solar light and cut the tubing in half, and then attached another light to the opposite end. I used the chains off these Dollar Tree hanging baskets in a previous project, so I wanted to make use of them. I pushed them together until they kind of connected. Then I began wrapping the wires with black nylon rope, also from Dollar Tree. To make it easier, I cut the rope in long strips and just tied on a new piece when I came to the end. I just wrapped over the knot and kept going. One package of rope was just enough to cover the entire basket. The two-ended solar light fits snugly inside. The Dollar Tree shepherd's hook is not very tall, so to create a taller stand, I took a broom pole from Dollar Tree and removed the rubber handle. I stuck that end in the dirt. I drilled a hole in the opposite end where the broom itself would screw on. Then I took a Dollar Tree shepherd's hook and pushed it down into that hole. Indoors or outdoors, you can never have too much storage. Because I use it every day, I just bought a cute watering can and hung it on a shepherd's hook. I found this large wicker basket for $3 at Goodwill, and I thought it would be perfect to hold firewood. It just needed a good coat of outdoor polyurethane to protect it from the weather. I bought this two-tiered table for $14.99 and this cooler for $4.99 at Goodwill, and I had grand plans of marrying the two. I thought the cooler was the perfect size to fit in the space where the drawer had been. But I was wrong. The cooler was larger than I thought. I ended up removing the drawer completely and just cutting out a hole large enough for the cooler to fit inside. Because I had sanded areas of the table, I sprayed it first with a primer, and then I followed that with 3 separate coats of the Krylon black spray paint. I also spray painted the exterior of the cooler. I finished the table with 2 coats of the outdoor polyurethane. Well, it didn't turn out the way I had hoped, but still it is a handy place to keep some cold beverages. Well, if you've seen any of my videos, you know I don't like bare walls. I had this metal wall decor in my basement that I had previously thrifted. I spray painted the stems with the Krylon black spray paint. I bought this large piece of sheet moss at Hobby Lobby, but you could also use the Dollar Tree variety. I used a Sharpie marker to trace around each of the individual leaves, and then I cut them out. I recommend doing this outdoors or on a drop cloth because it was very messy. When all my leaves were cut out, I hot glued them to the metal, doing one little section at a time. To hang it, I drilled a hole in my brick wall using a concrete drill bit. I inserted a plastic anchor and a screw, and then I was ready to hang my moss wall art. To help my moss last as long as possible, I gave it a good coat of the outdoor polyurethane. I like how it turned out, but I wonder, would you hang it on your patio? I needed a piece of wood, so I took apart the drawer from the cooler table. The back piece was the perfect size. I gave it a couple coats of the black spray paint. When the paint was dry, I screwed on this outdoor thermometer from the Dollar Tree. I paid $1.99 for this metal wall art from Goodwill, which I spray painted with leafy green spray paint. I attached the wall art to the thermometer by putting screws in between the metal branches. To attach the thermometer to my brick wall, I just used some adhesive Velcro strips. I use these indoors on ceramic tile, and they work really well, much easier than drilling a hole. To enjoy the outdoors in the Midwest, you have to ward off the mosquitoes. So let's make a citronella candle. Melt down some old candles in your oven and reuse one of the wicks from those candles. When the candles are completely melted, add several drops of citronella oil. I ordered mine from Amazon. Pour the melted wax into a container of your choice. Keep the wick propped up until the wax solidifies. I put my metal bowl inside a wood bowl inside an old plant stand. All three items were purchased for less than $10 at a thrift store. Even if you don't have bugs, you might want to make a large candle for your patio. To add a sense of tranquility to your outdoor living space, you might consider adding a wind chime or a water feature. I decided to turn the inner portion of the chandelier into a wind chime. I slid off the socket covers, cut the wires, and removed the sockets. I loosened the nuts holding the candle cups and then slid them up to the top of the screw and then re-tightened the nuts. I drilled 2 holes on opposing sides of each of the metal socket covers. I ran a long piece of heavy-duty thread through each of the holes and tied a knot at the top. I hung the chandelier from a hook that I screwed into the wooden eave. Then I looped one chime around each of the candle arms. I'm sure you've probably seen the solar light chandeliers on Pinterest, but I decided I wanted to use citronella candles in mine. I poured a little wax in each cup to make sure that my votive candles stayed put. I ordered these citronella candles off Amazon. I decided I wanted to make a water feature too. I spray painted over the design on this Goodwill umbrella stand. I found a plastic pot that fit snugly in the top, and I cut the bottom off of it. I added a few rocks to the bottom of the umbrella stand so it wasn't quite so deep. Then I added a $10 electric water pump. I filled the umbrella stand about 3/4 of the way full of water. I added the bottom of the plastic pot. Make sure that it's full of holes. You may need to make the center hole a little larger for the top of your pump to fit through. Add some decorative rocks to fill up the plastic piece. I slid this old lantern over the top to hide the cord and just to make it prettier. The pump comes with various nozzles to create different effects. The pump also comes with a plug so you can drill a hole and have the cord run out the side or the bottom of your container, but I decided just to keep it simple. I didn't want to risk cracking the ceramic container trying to drill a hole. I think vegetables and herbs can be a nice addition to a patio. Here I have herbs growing in old paint cans that I painted white and put in a wooden tote. These metal baskets were on clearance for $8 at Hobby Lobby. I bought 2 cocoa liners at Dollar Tree. They fit perfectly in the bottom basket. I just needed to trim it up a bit to make it fit into the smaller top basket. Then I added some herbs, and now I have a little herb garden right outside my patio door and next to the grill. Just like indoors, I think every outdoor space should have a touch of whimsy. I bought this broken down purple baby buggy at a thrift store for $10. I thought it was just the right element of whimsy for my patio. I spray painted the buggy white and its 2 remaining wheels black. And then I added one of my favorite flowers, geraniums. I think this is going to be even more adorable once these geraniums really fill in. I think it would be really funny to have a doll head peeking out through the geraniums. Or is that going too far? Drilling even a small hole in concrete can take a very long time and use a lot of drill bits. You might consider buying a hammer drill. An electric one like the one I used costs under $25. Well, I hope you came away with at least one good idea that you can try out in your own outdoor space. And I wanted to thank you all for watching and for leaving such lovely comments. I am so sorry that I have fallen behind in responding to everyone, but I do want you to know how very much I appreciate you. And I sure hope you'll come back next Tuesday. Well, that's all for today. Bye-bye for now.